Out of all the enemy races in Destiny, the Vex have to be one of the most mysterious. Time-traveling robots just trying to save their species, find a timeline where they can win and continue to live. Vex aren't normally hostile, but have been forced to thanks to the threats and guardians of the light. But where did the Vex come from? Why do they exist? And does their connection to the darkness have a bigger part to play in Destiny's final endgame? Thanks for joining us as we dive into some mysteries of the darkness-born Vex. Once upon a time, a gardener and a winnower lived together in a garden. It was before time, because time had not yet begun. We did not live. We existed as principles of ontological dynamics that emerge from mathematical structures, as bodiless and inevitable as the primes. It was the field of possibility that prefigured existence. From that card, the gardener and the winnower, or the light and the dark, we learn that both of these forces are paracausal and exist because they predate the universe. In the beginning, darkness wanted things to be all uniform and the same, while the light and the gardener wanted things to be unique, to create life and new patterns woven into reality. In their game, the gardener and the winnower discovered shapes of possibility. They foresaw bodies and civilizations, minds and cognitions, qualia and suffering. They learned the rules that govern which patterns would flourish in the game and which would dwindle. They learned those rules because they were those rules, and in time the gardener became vexed. So those lines right there are from the Flower Game lore card, and these are the rules above it. We know that the first form of Vex came in radiolaria, liquid microscopic silica-based organisms that first existed in comets and would rain down on certain planets. Most of you know this, but this is what the Vex are, the radiolaria, or the liquid substance we see on places like Nessus. Their bodies are just able to house that fluid and give it form with the armor. And since the Vex were birthed from that battle between the light and the dark, their goal would become skewed over time. Their goal is to find a timeline where they would win, of course, where their race doesn't die out.
They brought us here. The Vex. Evil so dark it despises other evil. Have you heard of the Black Garden?
We've heard the legends.
The greatest threat to us all lies there, where these machines are born.
If you're interested in more backstory and origin theories from Clovis Bray on this information, you can find it in his logbook from Beyond Light. Very early, they must have developed armor, perhaps a hydrogel to soften gamma rays or plates of silica to trap water. They would need that shield to enter the shallows and capture ionizing radiation as fuel. So if the Vex were born from this light and dark game, what are some of the connections it has to those entities? Now, so far with the Vex, it seems they more like to control things and convert, as we've seen with various planets. This tends to lean more towards the side of the darkness rather than the light, but there have been cases where Vex have interacted with the light. If you remember back to Saint 14's tomb, there's actually a Vex called Hagios Reverent Mind, which his purpose was to guard this light tomb of Saint 14.
I think we should leave him here. It looks like the Infinite Force laid him to rest. Built him a memorial. Did the Vex learn to respect him?
And while there are some cases like this one where the Vex sort of worship the light or lean towards it, so to speak, this doesn't really mean anything because we know the light has to give them the power and the darkness you can just take the power. It's completely possible that the Vex tend to side with whatever they can whenever they want to try and make their race survive. The Vex may follow the dark because they want to understand it. Some of the first Vex that entered the rift torn open into our dimension would first witness Hive and Crota. One of the Vex minds in Queria even studying the sword logic, so right away the Vex were interested in how the Hive used the darkness. Here are some connections to the darkness though. One of the biggest has to be the Black Garden and the Black Heart. A certain Vex collective, the Soul Divisive, would worship the Black Heart as seen in the garden. The Vex would later try many times to enter the garden and restore the heart.
Find the Black Garden. Rip out its heart. Only then will your traveler begin to heal.
So, think you can kill a god?
Don't think I have a choice.
Ikora says this in Season of the Undying.
We say that the Black Garden is the birthplace of the Vex. But it was not the beginning. It was the reason. The life in the garden called out a question. The Vex are the answer. They will do anything to protect the garden.
So the Black Garden is still a huge mystery, but some Guardians theorize this could be the same garden that the Light and the Darkness played their game in. Other Vex connections to the Dark we have would be Clarity and Volantis. In Beyond Light, we learn about the creation of exos, how Clovis Bray merged exos with Vex fluid in his experiments to create the ultimate soldier, or at least try to. On Europa, we see a gateway portal, which Clovis used to collect this radiolaria. The cool thing though is that this gate led to 2082 Volantis, a forged star blue hypergiant system that the Vex colonized. This system was actually quite bare, not many planets within it. The Vex have instead created massive structures to harness the power of the sun in the solar system, probably like the ones we see on Venus and other Vex colonized planets. Clovis Bray would enter the portal and learn more about the Vex to harness the radiolaria. You may be wondering how Clovis created a portal that led straight to the Vex home system. Well, the answer here is that the darkness led him to it.
Here we are again, cleaning up another of Clovis Bray's messes.
I'm sure wherever he is, he's laughing at us. He's the reason all this is here in the first place. The darkness told him to build the portal. It's his fault the Vex invaded. His fault so many people died. I did everything I could to help.
The whole EXO project was because of Clarity, or the Darkness, reaching out to Clovis Bray and promising immortality. The Witness. From the K1 artifact in the moon to establishing a base on Europa, this would spark the fire that led the madman down the path of insanity. Clovis Bray would first steal a Vex subject from the Ishtar Academy on Venus, which allowed him to experiment enough and follow the Darkness's command to build the portal. Now, the fact that the Darkness led Clovis to this opportunity is pretty cool to think about. Was the Witness trying to recruit Clovis to become a disciple, to see the power of the Darkness and to join its side? Regardless, the point is we see another connection between the Vex and the Darkness. The mysteries of the Vex are pretty extensive. Have we even seen their true combat forms? Will they exist beyond the Light and Dark saga and become the new focus? It seems that as of late, many enemy factions have either joined our side with the Light or have been more prominent in their recent battles like the Lucent Brood. Currently, it looks like the Vex just seem to be here chilling. Maybe this changes in Lightfall and over the next couple of seasons, but something huge may be on the horizon for these time-traveling robots. The final shape seems to be all about unity. The Witness wants everything dead so the universe can be one perfect state of no light, no dark. Do the Vex want the same thing but in their own way, to Vexify everything, and once everything is converted, this is their final shape? We've seen them convert so many of our planets and moons, so was that for their survival or is there something more to their plan? Also, I just wanted to throw this in here. We know next season we're going to be getting a brand new dungeon. Beyond that, we don't know where it's located, what's going to happen, but many people have been theorizing and hoping that it takes place on Europa. And when it comes to that moon, there's a bunch of cool locations they could dive into, I guess. They can go into some city skyscrapers and Eventide. They could go back to the Deepstone Crypt and learn more about the Exos, or what if we entered the gateway portal to Volantis 2082? That'd be pretty cool. Anyway, Guardians, that's all we got for today's video. Wanted to talk about what's going on with the Vex, the possible connections they have to the final shape, and want to get your own opinions on this in the comments down below. If you'd like to see some other Destiny lore and mysteries just like this video, please be sure to subscribe to the channel. Anyway, I thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you Guardians in the next one.